for a moment. Imagine that you're talking to 100 people in the next few months and 80% of those people bought your product and joined your team. Like, imagine what that would do for your business. And she is one of the least salesy people I've ever met. So I just want to brag on you, Jules, because you're so brilliant. I don't think you even have my slides and let Jules take over the presentation from here. So thank you for being here, Jules.
Wow, thank you so much, Sonia. Hey, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. And some of the stuff that we're talking about for this first webinar is what I'm most passionate about sharing with people. Verbiage that I sort of made up 14 years ago when I started my business that, you know, you kind of say a lot of things and then think, oh, wait, that sounded good. And then I just kept saying it. So for 14 years, I've been saying the same things, and I'm going to share a lot of them with you tonight. So hopefully it'll work as well for you as it has for me. And it's really pretty easy to use in pretty much whatever your business is for the most part. You know, if you hear what I say, it might be a little bit different for what your product is, but I think you'll be able to easily make that transition. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out about sharing my slides here. And we'll see if that's working. So I think that's working now. So the slides I'm going to share tonight are from a whole course that I do about a red Ferrari. And sorry, it terribly clashes with our pink theme here. I apologize terribly. But anyway, it's 5-step wheel of how to drive your business like a red Ferrari. And the reason why I like to talk about a wheel is that with a wheel, there's these 5 steps in what we do on a daily basis if you're in network marketing, right? So like Sonia touched on, networking and prospecting is number 1. Number 2 is setting an appointment with someone. Number 3 is your presentation, whatever your business is. Number 4 is follow-up, which most people are just terrified of. So we're going to talk about that tonight too. And then the 5th part of the wheel is touching base with the people that you've sponsored, your customers and your team. And the reason I really like to help people understand that this is a wheel is that if you are stronger at certain skills than others, which obviously many of us feel like certain things are our strengths, but if you don't get good at all 5 of these, then this wheel is not going to turn, right? Imagine you have a wheel where one of it's like really imploded in and you're going to clunk along. So that sounds crazy, but it's amazing to me how many people in network marketing will set an appointment with someone and then not present, or they'll present something to someone and not follow up. Or they'll sign someone up and then never even touch base with that customer again, right? So the more you are good at doing this, not just in general, but with one person, think about that wheel completing all those steps, and that wheel is going to take you forward. So the more you go with your wheel, your ability to consistently and smoothly move through these 5 steps is the wheel that's going to take you to your destination. So really, really work on the skills of the things you feel like you're not as strong about, so that you're not nervous about setting an appointment, presenting, following up, and then touching base with that person. If you stop on any of these steps, your wheel is stuck in that ditch, and you don't want to do that to your Ferrari. That's a disaster. So, all right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is networking and prospecting. And I'm not going to go into too much detail on this webinar about that. Obviously, there are a lot of amazing ways to meet people, like Sonia was saying. But one thing that I did recently, I posted this on Facebook, that's my little Bitmoji, that said, okay, so tell me, if we've met in person, how did we meet? And I had like 700 people commenting. It was great because half the time I forgot where I met people because I have a terrible memory. But it was amazing just seeing people saying on an airplane, on a ship, in an airport, in a hot tub in Naples. Like it was the coolest thing. But what this did is, number 1, it really exercises your brain about how many people you really do know or meet on a daily basis. And if you are doing the right things to kind of get your face in front of new people, you're meeting people in such amazing places. I want to talk about your warm market for a second, because although Sonia said, you know, maybe your mom and your sister aren't going to be your best reps in the world, but also I do find that people kind of try to discount their warm market too quickly, right? Because it's scary. So It seems like people will get sponsored by their cousin, and then all of a sudden they want to make cold calls. I'm like, wait a minute, you found out about this business from your cousin, and you want to like go through the phone book and call people you don't know. And it's just, it happens all the time. And I think people just get really, really nervous. Even if they found out about it through someone that they know pretty well, they suddenly want to just contact people that they don't know at all. So I have a fun exercise that I do when I'm teaching a training is I'll have everybody stand up and say where they met their sponsor, because that's an incredible training in and of itself. Because guess what? It worked. Everyone's in that room because whoever told them about it made them sign up and, made them want to sign up. So that's a super cool thing, whether it's on an airplane or a networking group or in college. It helps you really think back to like who you know, almost like a in-person memory jogger. So if you want to write this down as a fun challenge for yourself for 30 days, just pick somebody that you know that does network marketing in any business and ask them where they met their sponsor. And then go find someone to talk to in that same way or that place, right? So, I mean, if it's someone said they met on an airplane, you don't have to go book a flight. But think, who have I ever met on an airplane? And use that as your kind of memory jogger for 30 days of asking someone where they met their sponsor and then reaching out to that person and using some of the verbiage we're going to talk about. So I also just want to touch very quickly on this concept of who do you screen? When somebody calls you, we all have a cell phone in our hand, and back in the old days, we didn't know who was calling. You're like, hello? Now you're like, oh, geez, it's Lisa. So we know who's calling us, right? And you have an instant reaction. You just do, whether you know it or not. You have an instant reaction, and what's behind that instant reaction is, does that person add value in your life? If you smile and you go, oh my gosh, it's Sonia, hey, you pick up that phone or you're excited to see that name. If it's somebody that adds zero value to your life, you're not going to pick up that call and you're not going to make a nice face when you see their name, right? So it's all about building relationships. And I could teach a whole ginormous training like I have on what this means. It's building relationships in your business, but you want to be genuine. Even if it's someone that you just met, like it doesn't have to be someone you've known forever. You can really have a lot of rapport and be genuine and ask questions and build relationships with people. And that is truly what's going to set you up for the most success as you're prospecting and networking and meeting people to speak to. So I'm very passionate about helping people understand that this is a relationship business, and it's not about just getting people in. Like a lot of times, someone that I've met, I might be in touch with them for 7 years before they join my business, but I keep in touch. They hear from me. I reach out to them a lot in a genuine way because I care about people. So. All right. So, and the last area about this is one of my favorite little pictures of this dog, but I teach people this phrase, listen to life. And the more you're out there in the world, talking to people, the more you can really picture this. People tell you what's important to them all the time. And, we've heard like that form, like people talk about family and occupation and recreation and money. But I mean, people tell you, oh, my daughter just got into Duke. Oh, my mom's in the hospital. Like all that kind of stuff that for the most part, people are so busy or stressed themselves that they don't take that in. And if you become the kind of person and networker to listen to those things and respond, send someone a little card if their mom's in the hospital, buy someone a little mug that says Duke on it if their daughter got into Duke, all that kind of stuff. Like this is the key to literally everything in life. And again, I could teach like a 3-hour training on this, but I just love this dog. So, all right. So I'm moving on. All right. So I want to talk a little bit, about setting the appointment, because I have what I call my magic sentence that I've been using for 14 years. I made it up once. I thought this sounds good. And this is what I say. Okay. It's more than a sentence, but you get the idea. Okay. I don't know if you'd be interested, but I have something that could be interesting for your real estate business. Okay. Or I have something that could be interesting for your dog walking business. Or if that's because I have a business tool. But if you don't have a business tool and you have health and wellness or skincare, you could say, I have something that could be interesting for you. Or just come up with some version of this, but you have to use the word interesting. And we'll talk about that. Is there a good time this week or next when you'll be in front of a computer for me to show it to you so you can see if it's a good fit for you. It'll take about 25 minutes. Okay. Now, every one of these words is incredibly important for a specific reason. We're going to talk about why I like to use the word interesting in a second. But is there a good time this week or next means that you're serious about what you're showing them, but you're not pushy. It's you're giving them two options, this week or next, right? Number two, when you're in front of a computer, because this is the day and age where you don't have to drive around town and show people things. You can do this over Zoom. You can do this easily. And that sets up better duplication too. If that person can do it from their computer, it's easier for them to picture themselves doing it. And it's so important to say, so you can see if it's a good fit for you, because that means after they see it, they have permission to do what? To say no, right? They can see it and then say no. And then I'm very passionate about making sure you tell them how long it's going to take. So whatever that is for your presentation, tell them it'll just take about whatever, right? So this is what I say. Every word is important. And I can't reiterate enough that this little sentence saying you're going to love this just backfires on you every time. I used to, when I first signed up for my product, I'm like, this is amazing. You're going to love this. And everyone was like, whoa, because for some reason in human nature, if you tell someone they're going to love something, they're determined to hate it. It is very weird, but that's how it is. So I use the word interesting. It could be interesting for you. Right? Very nonchalant, very non-salesy, but if you tell them they're going to love it, chances are they are determined to hate it before they've seen it. So just don't do that. And the other thing is, we talk about posture and belief, right? If you're nervous about, something being a pyramid scheme, which is, of course, it's not, or you're nervous that they'll think you want to make money on them, any of that kind of stuff. I mean, you just have to get that out of your mind. Sonia and I have talked a lot about that. One of the things that I'm passionate about is basically just believing that literally the whole world should have my product. Like whether they think so or not, I really believe that they should. And so I believe I'm helping them by showing it to them. And after they see it, they can absolutely say no. But there's zero part of me that's worried about them thinking I'm going to make money on it, because I'm like, what? You need to see this. It's like having an email account, So you have to have that belief. All right. So you want to carve out your time blocks in this business, because this is a part-time business. It's designed to be a part-time profession. But if you do not carve out that time in your calendar, blocking it off, whether it's a half hour, whether it's an hour, whether it's 3 times a week, whether it's once a day, you won't do it. Like I know, because I used to, put my gym, when I went to the gym with a question mark, you have to just put it in there and then do it. If you worked at Starbucks part-time, that doesn't mean no time. You don't just say I work at Starbucks and then never show up, right? So you can have a part-time business, but you have to schedule it into your calendar. Imagine if there was a store downtown that always had a closed sign on it. And every time you walk by, you're like, that store's still closed? That's weird. Why are they there? Oh, that's weird. Do you think they make any money? No, they don't make any money because their store is closed every single day. So you got to have your store open, and that's having your hours, and that's doing the activities that are going to, be setting the appointment, doing your presentations, and following up. Okay. Another thing about verbiage when you're setting the appointment is to tell them why you thought of them. And this really helps. So in part of the, I don't know if you'd be interested, but, I have something that could be interesting for your dog walking business, basically telling them, I know you're incredibly thoughtful and you always want to make sure your clients know you appreciate them. Or I know you're always thinking about other people. Or I thought of you because you're so meticulous in your business and so professional and you're always staying on top of things, right? So for whatever it is, whatever your product is, tell that person why you specifically think it would be interesting for them. That's very important, because if someone specifically knows why you thought of them, rather than just feeling like a statistic, they're way more likely to be open to what you are sharing with them. Your appointments as you go, imagine you're in your red Ferrari again. These are your mile markers. So if you set one appointment a month, you're just not going to have the same traction in business as if you have one a week or one a day. And that is the distance that you're going. And also it creates more confidence. If you are showing something to someone once in a while, you're going to have a lot less confidence than if it's something that you're consistent with and you're showing them weekly or daily. Believe me, you get good at it as you go and you learn as you go. It's so important to just hop on that bike and just start sharing. So many people used to say to me, well, when did you feel like you had momentum? I'm like, never. I mean, no, momentum is created by you. Like, you have the ability to create momentum at any time. If you're stuck in your business, your team isn't doing anything, that means you're not doing anything. You've got to get on your little turtle skateboard. I love this picture too, but and create that momentum. So I do this fun training, and this is a really fun thing to do with your teams, you guys. I call it the two people that are the newest in the business, and I give them each a deck of cards. And I have them go through the deck as fast as they can. They're racing each other. And every time they hit an ace, they yell out ace. And they keep going until somebody has found all 4 aces. Okay. So I have them do this. And then everyone claps, whoever wins. And then I have them shuffle the deck. And I take out $100 bill and I put it in between them. And I say, now we're going to do this again. And now whoever finds those 4 aces first wins that $100 bill. Well, guess what happens? It is crazy. I get goosebumps when I talk about it. But literally, all of a sudden, they're going a heck of a lot faster than they were before. They're throwing cards all over the place. They're practically salivating. Everybody in the room is excited. And everybody's literally going crazy. And whoever finds all 4 aces first wins a $100 bill, which is kind of fun because it's always like one of the newest reps too, right? But then I say, what did we all learn from this? What happened when there was money on the table? Everybody got more excited. Everybody went faster. Even the people watching were excited. Why? You had that ability to find those 4 aces before. But as soon as there was money on the table, all of a sudden everything changed. And so I tell people, there's money on the table here. You got to find it. And you've got to have that momentum. You got to have that excitement. And, all the people watching get excited too, because it has that momentum and that excitement and that power and that speed. So it's a great exercise to do for people that are really trying to understand the idea that you're just sharing this with people and with your own excitement and momentum. And the more you see that there's money on the table to be made and the more excited you are, the faster you'll go. All right, so a couple of things about the presentation. Many of you know that, telling your story is important, right? I'm sure nobody's shocked to hear this. But a lot of people are super awkward about it, don't really know how to work that in. And I was at a training with Big Al once, some of you may know him, and he said this simple sentence that I've never forgotten, and I really love it. And he said, right before you're about to share your presentation with someone, he says to say, before I show you how this works, let me tell you what happened to me. And it's a seamless, elegant, easy way to just start to tell your story. And let me tell you, your story should be very short. Do not launch into an hour-long story, 2 minutes, right? But, you talk about what you were doing before you found your business, what happened when you found your business and what's happening now. And then you say, okay, now let me show you how this works, right? But what happens is that person kind of relaxes a little because you're about to present to them and they're like, oh God, what are we seeing now? And then you tell them a story. And half the time, like my story, when I share like how I found my business and when I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to own an island. And, and I just kind of genuinely tell what happened before I even start to show them my product. They already want it. They're already laughing. They're already open to it because they've kind of lived my journey as I've shared that story with them, if that makes sense. So it's a beautiful way right before you present to tell your story very easily. All right. The waiter with the dessert tray. This is really important too, because so many people ask me, well, do you lead with the business or do you lead with the product? And to me, that question is insane. I'm like, what? Like, first of all, nobody's going to even want to join your business if they don't know what the product is. So you got to show them that. And then you got to tell them that there's a business attached. So my example is like the waiter with the dessert tray. If you're at a restaurant and your waiter tells you the dessert options and he walks away and you see someone else is eating cheesecake and he didn't tell you about the cheesecake, you're going to be mad. Why didn't you tell me about the cheesecake, right? So you've got to be like, hey, listen, we've got pecan pie, we've got cheesecake, we've got, triple decker chocolate, whatever. And whichever one you want, you can't go wrong. They're all great. right? So that is how you share your pricing with people. You tell them, hey, we've got, the ways to get started. You could do this package, this package, this package. And then, by the way, and this is what I like to say, I say, we even have a commission option where if you can think of one other human that would like this, then I like to say human just because it's funny. I say, if you can think of one other human that would like this, then the company will pay you. And so most people, can think of a couple people that would like it and get to use their product for free. But whichever one you do, you can't go wrong. Does that make sense? So if somebody doesn't like cheesecake, they're not going to go for it, right? But you have to tell them all the options. If they have not an entrepreneurial bone in their body, they won't care that they can make commissions. But a lot of times, if people already kind of are liking the product you're showing them, and then you tell them that if they can think of one other human that would like it, the company will pay them, all of a sudden that's an easy way to introduce that section. And for me, it's very easy to tell if someone's like, then obviously they don't care. But if they're like, then you're like, I know. So, right, does that make sense? So it's, instead of like, should I lead with the product? Should I lead with the business? It's like, you got to show them all the desserts. All right, dating analogy. So I like dating stuff because I wrote a book about dating, but dating in this instance is if you were on a date and someone's like, I love you, like from the start, you'd be like, whoa, that's too much, right? So unfortunately, people do that with their products. They're so excited about it that they just kind of like vomit all over people. So my analogy about this is that you again, remember, it could be interesting for them. And then you start to show it to them. And they're like, this is pretty cool. And you're like, I know. And then they're like, wow, my sister might like this. And you're like, I know. And by the end, they're like, I think I could think of people that would like this. And you're like, I know, it's pretty amazing, right? So you're basically starting in their world and leading them to yours. But you just can't start off like a train going at full speed because people just cannot get on board. They just can't get with you. But if you kind of like gauge their excitement and lean in like a date, then by the end of it, hopefully you've brought them into why you're excited about this. So I love that analogy. All right. Don't say you'd be so good at this. This is crazy because you think that's a compliment. I remember when I started out, I said this to my friend Carolyn. I was like, you'd be so good at this. And she was like, ugh. Like all of a sudden what they hear is you're putting pressure on them. They have to perform and they were too busy and they're just out before you can even like turn your head. And the other thing that seems like a compliment is, or encouraging is, so many people. But what they hear is that you want to use them. You want to use their network. And these are two things that just seem like a good idea. Do not say them. It's going to backfire on you. All right, here's the inspirational moment that Sonia was talking about. So when you tell your little story and then you do your presentation and then you're going to do the waiter with the dessert tray. But right before you show the prices, I just have a little moment. I started doing this a long time ago and it just feels right where after I show them my product, I say, now what we just did was easy to do and it's easy not to do. And I'm like, but what if, so my product is a business tool or whatever. So I say, what if you were to replace one email a day or one text a day with a card? What would that do for your relationships? Thanks for lunch. I'm sorry your sister isn't feeling well. Congratulations on your promotion. What if you were to replace one email or text a day with a card? What would that do for being a better daughter, a better business person, a better friend? And then I'm like, so let me show you how it works, right? So whatever your product is, maybe it's weight loss and you're like, what I just showed you is it's simple to do, it's simple not to do. What if every day you could put something on and feel good in it and, not have to worry about how you look, and feel amazing or whatever. Maybe it's energy, right? So if you just have a little bit of a moment, because people do want to be better, they want to do better. And they just have to imagine that it's possible for them within the framework of what they're already doing in their life. So you just have a little inspirational moment before you say, now let me show you the different ways to get started. It's just worked real well for me because it's not a tactic. I believe that. I believe that I'm just helping people see that they could take one small decision to be a little bit better. All right. And then the last section we're going to talk about is follow-up. And here's my last magic sentence. I've been using it for 14 years. Very simple, this one. And I call someone and I say, hey, this is Jules. I just called to see if you knew what you'd like to do or if you need more time. That doesn't seem that interesting, but let me tell you what, they have to answer that question. They have to answer. Like, there's no other way to not answer that question, right? So they usually launch into some big excuse. Oh, well, my boss is in town and my cousin broke her leg and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. Whatever they say, you go, okay, no problem. When do you think you'll get to it? And they have to tell you, oh, maybe next week. I go, okay, great. I'll touch base with you then. Okay. So why is this important? Number one, if you always know what you're going to say when you pick up the phone, you're going to do it. You're not as scared if you know what you're going to say, right? Number two, they're always telling you when to call them back. There's really no room in this for them to not give you a time. Well, no problem. When do you think you'll get to it? So then I always know when I'm supposed to follow up. And that's powerful stuff that I can look at every one of my names and know exactly when I'm supposed to call them back. That's awesome, right? And what do I say if I get their answering machine? Same thing. Hey, it's Jules. I just called to see if you knew what you'd like to do or if you need more time. So I had a funny story about a realtor that was gone on a trip for like 2 weeks. And he had like 3 messages for me, like, 4 days apart, 5 days apart. And I had like the same message, the same tone of voice, the same everything, because that's what I say. And he called me and he's like, I got 3 messages from you that were like pretty much the same. And I was like, huh. I go, you know why that is, Sean? Because it works. So do you know what you'd like to do or do you need more time? And he signed up. Anyway, it was really funny. But the awesome thing is, if you just know what you're going to say, it just takes away all the anxiety. And it's a very simple sentence. And every word is very important in this phrase. All right. I'm running out of time, but I would just, Sonia wanted me to share my little crazy binder system. So I know it's a little bit hard to see, but I have some loose pages here that are just business card sleeves, that you can buy at Staples. And then either I have someone's actual business card or you can buy these like just blank, it's hard to see, blank business cards where you can just write stuff on it. And I just move people through the book. So I have a binder, I'll show you here. I have a binder that basically has the Monday 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Monday, Monday 1, Tuesday 1, you know what I mean, for each week, Monday through Friday for 5 times. And I just move them through the book. So I pull out this, I go, hey, Rachel, I just called to see if you knew what you like to do if you need more time. Rachel's not there. I move her to 4 days later, right? And you just move people through. Now, obviously, I know this is the day and age of technology. Like, I get it, right? Of course, I could do this in my Google phone, whatever. But I love having this binder. I like playing with the card when I'm on the phone. I like moving them. I like deciding, you know what? I'm tired. I've left her 3 messages. I'm going to move her to 2 weeks from now. Does that make sense? You're like moving people through the system. And some people will get an account in a week. Some people will get an account in a month. Some people will get it 7 years later. I do not care. And every once in a while, I go through the book and I throw people away. It's rare because almost everybody, but if I get sick of their name, they have to go. Anyway, but my point is the binder system is easy to use and it really helps you it keeps you organized and it keeps people moving along. And using people's own words back at them is great too within that same follow-up. Like if during the presentation, they said, wow, this is really cool, or wow, I can see why you like this, or my sister might like this, then use that in your follow-up. When you say, hey, I know you thought it was really great, you were excited about it, and wanted to see a good time would be to get started, right? So that's really helpful to use their own words because instead of being pushy, you feel like you're being helpful, all right? Never assume that just because they're not calling you back means they're not interested. I'm here to tell you because I've signed up people, a year later that are so grateful. Thank you so much for following up. Think about someone that never follows up with their product. You're like, wow, I guess they didn't really care about whether I want that or not, right? So people are very grateful if you're organized and you're not pushy and you're always just getting them ready when they're getting them started when they're ready. They are going to be grateful. And sometimes you're blown away because you absolutely, even I go, oh, they must be so sick of hearing my voice. And then they're like, thank you so much. And it's amazing. So never, never assume what you think that they're thinking. And you can be lovingly persistent. That's what people call me, but it's okay. I think it's a compliment. And it's never too late to use your little follow-up sentence, even if you've dropped the ball, to use that same thing. People get all nervous. Well, what do I say? I haven't talked to them in so long. Pick up the phone, pretend you were just giving them more time and say, hey, I just called to see if you knew what you'd like to do or if you need more time. All right, guys. So that's my wheel. There's so much more in there that I could share with you, but I'm out of time for today. But the more you just get good at these skills and have your wheel and have your organized system and just not be scared about what you're going to say to people, you absolutely will be sponsoring people left, right, and center. And I want to just leave you with this little analogy. So to me, network marketing is like you're standing on the top of a cliff and you have a bucket of water and you just tip your bucket. And you step to a new place on the cliff and you tip your bucket. And every time you share your product and opportunity, you're just tipping your bucket. And you don't know if that water is going to turn into a little, dry up against the rocks like they disappear, or it's going to turn into a little stream or a flow. But if you just keep tipping your bucket, then we all know that that's what creates this beautiful waterfall. But if you never share your opportunity with anyone, then you're just a jerk on a cliff with a bucket. So don't be that jerk. And that's all I wanted to share tonight. So thank you so much for having me on the call.
Sorry, trying to unmute my mic there. Jules, that was just amazing. And I think when the slides were up, people couldn't see your binder sleeves. So would you mind just taking a moment just to share those visually so people can see them? They're loving everything you shared here. And,
okay, so
yeah, I think just that visual would help.
Yeah. So this is just like a loose page where it's just like, get it at Staples. All of these are removable. And, I just write the person's name, their email, their info on it. Oh, and what I forgot to say too is that I keep people in there after I've sponsored them as a customer or a team member. And I just kind of decide where to move them to, because then it's always going to help you remember when to touch base with someone also. So I really don't take people out of the book, even after they're on my team or on my customers. So the book looks like this. Amazing. And and if you get busy, that's the cool thing. You literally just take all the pages out from that day and move it to the next day. There's something very satisfying about having something physical that you can just kind of move people through, and it makes you feel like you're moving through that system.
So true. Oh my gosh. Every time I listen to you, I pick up another gem or two. And I just want to encourage all of you. I mean, there's so many ideas that we're going to cover here tonight. I know we're going quickly and there's a lot, but just listen for the gem. Listen for one idea that really resonates with you, because one idea applied can change your life and business. And of course, there's lots of ideas we're going to share here, but just listen for the one that your gut goes, oh, I got to do that. I got to do that. Because I promise, if you take it away and put it into action, you'll be amazed sometimes how much your business can change just because of one well-executed strategy. So I know we're dumping a lot on you guys, but that was just brilliant. And your inspirational moment, we could do a couple of hours of training on that. I just want to emphasize to all of you, in all my experience in traditional sales, 25 years now, the biggest mistake I see people make is they get very caught up talking about the product. Like if this is the product, right? They talk about the product and they don't help the prospect see themselves using the product and getting the benefit. So when Jules talks about this inspirational moment where she invites people, imagine what it would be like to blank. Imagine what it would be like to stand in front of the mirror and see that you've lost 30 pounds. Imagine what it would be like to look in the mirror and have no more brown spots. Imagine what it would be like to wake up in the morning and feel like you've had a really good night's sleep. Like there's just so many ways we can inspire people to imagine the result or the experience, right, that they're going to get. And I promise if you do that, it brings it home in a way that just gets people really excited. Otherwise, it's this sort of, product and too many ideas and features. And, if you can help them see what it's going to do for them, even your business, imagine what it's going to be like to walk in and quit your job and go home and spend more time with your kids, right? Just give them the opportunity to really see themselves in that experience. And I promise they'll get excited. And, you're really doing them a service by helping them envision that for sure. So unbelievable, Jules. Thank you so much. And real quick, I want to just bring up another slide here. Oh, goodness. You know what? Hold on. Sorry, guys. Give me one moment because I did not advance my slides as I should have. Here we go. Okay. I just want to properly introduce the lovely Sarah Zalecki. I was trying to remember when we met, Sarah. It's been a while, and it's been amazing to have known you all these years. And your genius zone, without a doubt, is relationship building too. In fact, hold on, guys. Is that slide showing on the screen? Let me just double check. I know when we share things, sometimes it doesn't always work. Can you see Sarah's slide there? Perfect. Okay. When we first met, Sarah, you were one of the most talented people I'd ever met for networking in person. I know that's still a major gift of yours, but it's really exciting to see how much you've transitioned that into the online world, especially using Facebook. I know you've 4x'd your business in the last while just using Facebook alone. And these stats, you guys, I have to admit, I almost hesitate in sharing them because they're so incredible, but this is absolutely true. In the last few years, using Facebook, Sarah has personally enrolled over 100,000 customers. Her team, she and her team collectively.
I don't know where that came from.
Oh, is that inaccurate? Did I get that wrong?
Totally not. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, there you go. I got the stat wrong.
Yeah. So my team actually has over 65,000 people in it.
Got it.
This is about over 200 million a year. But like, as far as like the personally enrolled, I don't know, thousands and thousands.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got that piece wrong. But so, collectively, you guys have brought on, is it over 1 million customers using some of these strategies?
We have like 1.3 million in our.
Oh my goodness. Well, whatever it is, it's incredible. And, I really applaud you, Sarah. And I just want to point that out about all of us. It's not like, any of us just did this overnight. Like, we've all had challenges and setbacks. And Sarah, I know when we first met, I think you were in a company and then moved to another company. Like, it's just so exciting for me to see how well you're doing and just the amazing trail you're blazing. And especially to see you do this all online. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you and be quiet and just let you share how you've been doing all this with Facebook, because it's truly impressive. It's really amazing.
My gosh. Well, thank you. Well, first of all, I'm all about integrity. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I have to like set the record.
No, that's good. Thank you. I got that from somewhere and it wasn't right, obviously. So
yeah. Well, hi, everybody. It's great to be with you guys tonight. Oh my gosh, Jules, thank you so much for that. I was taking so many good notes. I'm like, oh, that was so good. But I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So for those of you that are in the United States and Canada, you guys have an idea. For those of you that are global, it's great to meet with you. I'm kind of smack dab in the middle of the United States. And I have been with this amazing profession, gosh, for a little over 20 years. I wish I could tell you that I had a really, I was a quick study and I grew really quick in this business. But I didn't. I was the girl that went through the school of hard knocks. When I first got introduced to this profession, I was a nanny. I had no business being in business, but I fell in love with people. I was so inspired on the people part. And I remember saying yes to this business. And then I realized very quickly, oh my gosh, I have to work. Like I actually have to like do the doing this. And then I was like, this is hard. But it was just a matter of skills. And here's the thing that's so incredible is that you're going to have the chance to learn from so many great female leaders on this webinar and over the next 3 weeks. And what I wish so much that I was able to have, that you all have the opportunity to have, is that you have the opportunity to have incredible female mentorship. I didn't have any. I mean, I struggled. It took me 2 years to introduce had one person say yes in my business. 2 years. But I stuck through it and I said, you know what, I'm going to figure this out if it kills me. And you know what, it almost did. But here I am 20 years later. And so I'm just so grateful because yes, I'm here to walk through some and give you guys some good nuggets, but I'm also here as a student too, because I just know that I'm always here to grow. I know that if I'm not growing, I'm dying in my business. And so no matter where you are in your career of this business, let me tell you, you are in a great space today. So I want to go ahead, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I'm a little bit of a fast talker. but I'm going to jam through this with you guys. So guys, this slide really represents just the transformation of what can happen when you have incredible mentorship in your life. And what I love is that getting a chance to connect with Amy and Carla and Jules and Sonia, what's so incredible is that you have the ability to cut off years like off your learning curve in this business. You know, instead of just kind of like putting along like I did for so long, you literally can absolutely change your trajectory, which to me, like, that's why I'm so excited, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm just gonna pour into these guys because it's just so, I believe so much in this profession. But I will tell you, like, for me, there was definitely ebbs and flows, and just really understanding that, you know, what I love about this business is there are only a few fundamentals in this business. And guess what? Once you got those fundamentals down, you got it. Like, that's what you should be excited about today. It's not like you have to, you know, go and learn all this incredible, you know, stuff, and then one day you're going to become successful. Here's what I want you guys to know. As women, we already got it. You guys know that, right? As women, like, we got it. Like, sorry guys that are on here, but I'm just telling you, like, we got it, guys. Already, it's already built into us. Like, God already like gave us all the skills and talents. And now you're going to have opportunities to kind of tweak a couple things along the way and figure out how to use those gifts in social media. And boom, you're going to be able to have just a tremendous business, whether it be part-time or full-time, right? But I look at like this transformation of what I had to go through and really who I had a chance to become on the other side. Oh my gosh, like I wouldn't change it for anything. And so I just want all of you guys to be so encouraged today as you're on here and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm looking for a lifeline, or I'm plateaued in my business, or I feel like I'm stuck, or, you know, maybe I am successful, but I'm looking to go to the next level. Like, I'm just telling you, like, you are in the right spot. And so our business, as you guys know, is all about networking, right? And so I think for a lot of us, it's like we get on social media and sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, like we talked about, leads are everything, right? And so it's like, well, how do I actually generate more leads? Sure, you know, we see ads, right? Or we see different things or whatever it may be. But the reality is guys, like, I'm the girl next door. Like, I don't know how to do ads. I don't know how to do a lot of that stuff, right? But I do know how to say hi to someone. I do know how to connect with someone, right? But how do you actually find those people on social media, right? So the one thing that I do want to encourage you guys, and I'm gonna go through this pretty quickly, is I had to make a decision that I was going to use social media as a business. You got to make that decision. You know, for me, I think a lot of people are like, you know, if you make a decision that you're going to use it as a business and not as personal, you will learn how to become very intentional with what you do every single day on social media. So for me, every post I do, every story I do, every live that I do, every reshare that I do, every single thing that I do on social media, whether it be on Instagram or Facebook, is 100% intentional. If you want to grow a big business, you have to make a decision. I'm going to learn how to be very intentional with everything that I do. And so I flipped the switch from just being personal, right? Talking about my dog, talking about whatever, doing all this stuff, right? Which is great. But I also knew, like, if I want to attract the right people into my business, I have to learn how to be intentional. Okay. So I want to walk you guys through a very, very simple thing that I'm going to talk about with Facebook groups. Okay. So I know some of you guys are watching on here and you're going, well, Sarah, like, I'm on social media, but I only have like 500 friends or 200 friends or 1,000 friends. And you're like, you know what? Like, I don't really have like this big network of people, right? Let me tell you a secret. Okay. If you don't have a big network, go where the network is. Okay, there is an awesome solution for you right now. Some of you guys should be jumping up and down, fired up, because you're like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting to hear this. Okay, I am going to show you where the network is. So where is the network? The network, guys, is in Facebook groups. Okay, so we've all heard this a million times that people are going to do business with people they like and trust. Okay. And typically that people that like you are your girls, are your people, are your crew, is your girl gang, is your tribe, right? So where the heck are those people? Well, those are typically people that are in Facebook groups that you're drawn to, right? And so here's what I want you guys to understand. Why are groups awesome? Number one, it's free. Okay. Drop in the chat if you like free, like draw me some hearts, right? I love free. I tell people if it's free, it's me. I'm in. Okay. So number one, it's free. And number two, guys, there are over 2.8 billion on Facebook. Carla might probably know the numbers. It might be a little bit higher than that. But guys, there's a lot of people on there, and a lot of people are in groups, right? What's so incredible about Facebook groups? It is the simplest way to create community, awesome friendships, and earn trust. It is the best place to be. It is like a melting pot. It is an awesome incubator. It is where you want to hang out. Okay. What it also does is it takes qualified people from a public audience, meaning all over your wall or wherever it may be, to a targeted community. Like, again, your people, your tribe, you know what I mean? They typically like the same things that you like. They typically what keeps you up at night is what keeps them up at night. You know what I'm saying? They're if you peel back the onion, you're one and the same. Okay. That's why these Facebook groups are awesome. So let's talk a little bit about it. So I'm going to jam through with you guys on here, but then I'm all about showing you the real deal. Okay. So I'm actually going to take you behind the scenes of Sarah Zalecki and show you what I do in Facebook groups. Cause I want you to see what I actually do, because to me, people can talk about stuff, but I'm listen, I live in Minnesota. I'm a Midwest girl. I'm just give me the facts. I want to see the proof is in the pudding. Okay. So I actually did screenshots, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what I do inside Facebook groups to build relationships and to get great leads. Okay.
Hey,
so
Sarah, great information, but it sounds like they can't see the slides, that the view is reversed. Do you see the comments? I don't know how the view is, but it sounds like.
I have no idea. It says stop. I'm sharing. I'm sharing. Do you want to unmute yourself, Amy? If you want.
Everybody's saying they can see it.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's okay. It may just be a couple of people that are having issues with the view, but no, everybody else is fine. So I think you're okay. Yeah. Yeah, I keep going. I think you're fine. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for checking though, Amy. Thanks.
Okay. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so number one is finding groups that you're passionate about, right? So what's something that I tell people, what's something that, if someone asked you about it, you could talk about it for hours, right? What gets you fired up? Those are the kind of groups you need to be plugged in with. If you don't like cooking, why the heck would you be in a cooking group? That makes no sense. You know what I mean? Figure out what are the things that gets you excited, or maybe even what's something that maybe you would love for it to be a hobby and you haven't really actually, taken action on it yet, right? So inside with the group, so too, it's important, guys, just stick to a few. I know some of us, we're overachievers. They're I'm going to jump in 10, 15 groups. And I'm why would you want to do that, right? I tell people, get inside just a couple of groups that you can really, dive into and plug into. And here's a cool thing, guys. If you're inside of groups and you don't, it ends up not being your jam in that group, well, you can leave that group and jump in another one, right? So for me, I'm just hey, I want to stick to a couple of groups that I can really dive in and get to know. And I will tell you too, with these groups, guys, you don't want to be in a group that has 1 million people. Okay. That's hard to get to know people in there. I for me, my sweet spot for me, in my opinion, is anywhere from 16 or 5 to 15,000. That's kind of my deal. I know some people like a little bit more, what have you, but I don't typically go too far less than that, because I want to be in a group that's got good energy and some buzz and stuff happening, right? And so you want to just kind of stick to a few, go to a little bit bigger group, not too crazy big. But one of the things that I like to do is I like to introduce myself, right? So, and the reason I feel that is so important is it's so you jump in a group, and the number one thing that I used to think about is how in the world can I actually stand out and get everyone to say, hey, who's that? Right? And so what I like to do is I'll post a picture. If I'm in a group that's about my kids, I'll post me and my kids or whatever, right? And so I'll do an introduction. And my introduction is just like, hey guys, my name's Sarah Zalecki. I'm super excited to be in this group. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to learn from all of you guys. I'm excited to be a part of this too. Oh my gosh, like I can't wait to get to know some of you guys. And again, hey, thanks for having me, right? So I'll just do a little blurb. I'll do my little picture. And you know what's so cool that happens in there? Guess what everybody starts doing? They start loving on it and they start saying, hey, welcome. Hey, oh, you're from Minnesota. Oh, hey, I've got 2 kids too. Or, hey, oh my gosh, about this or that or whatever, right? And so then all of a sudden they start connecting with me inside of that post. Well, guys, guess what? That is the start of building a friendship. That's the start of getting acquainted. That's the start of a potential lead down the road, right? And so I found ways in there inside of a group, I'm like, how can I stand out? And number one, get people to remember me. But number 2, I need to make sure that I'm a giver in there. Okay. Most people, when they go into groups, guess what they're doing? They're taking. Okay. So guess what? I tell people, while everybody's zigging, guess what you need to be doing? Zagging. Okay. So in that group, you start giving crazy value in there. So whatever that group is, whether you're resharing a recipe, whether you're posting something about kids, whether you're talking about an idea, or you saw a really cool article that pertains to the group and you're sharing it in there, or maybe it's a cool podcast that you heard, or whatever it is that you feel that can give value in that group, you start doing it. And so I started doing that. I'm like, well, if I loved it, and these are kind of like my people, why wouldn't they love it too? That's really how I looked at it. I didn't look at it as like, hey, I'm going to post this so maybe I can get a recruit. No, like that's terrible because you're going to get nobody. So I went in there. I'm like, I'm just going to start giving and I'm going to start giving and I'm going to start posting. And guess what happened? Because I was someone that always came from contribution and I was contributing all the time. People started sitting up and taking notice. They started seeing when I would do a post a couple times a week. Oh, hey, there's that Sarah Zalecki girl posting again. They and also they started remembering, right? That name recognition. And they started, oh, hey. And here's what's cool. From there, guess what we all do on social media? We might not admit it. We are all snooping on everybody's stuff all day long. So guess what people started doing? They would click where I would post something. Oh, let's click on Sarah Zalecki. And it would take them from Sarah Zalecki in the group to guess where it took me? To my profile, right? And then they started digging around and seeing what's happening and starting to like and love, right? So what I want you to understand is like the Facebook groups are so incredible because it's a great place where you can start engagement, you can give like crazy, you can create great value, but then also too, it's amazing the leads that will start coming your way just by commenting and being active in the group. Right. And a lot of times I ended up, jumping in Messenger and connecting with different people and, asking about what their story is and getting to know them and saying, hey, oh my gosh, I love that post that you posted, like whatever. Right. And I really started building that friendship long term. And some of them became customers. Some of them, came on board with my business and some of them just became my friends. Right. Which is so cool. So I want to encourage you guys to have fun inside of Facebook groups. I think people make it way too hard. Guys, it is so simple to jump in here. It's a ton of fun. But if you stick to a few, you actually feel like you actually can do something and really make those connections. If you have a lot that you're in, it's very, very hard to make those connections in there because there's just so much stuff in there happening. So I'm going to give you guys an example. Okay, so what's something I'm passionate about? I love adventure. I love to be outside. I live in Minnesota. So when it's summertime, we're out from morning till night because we know that in 90 days, we're going to have winter again, okay? So this group, I found this group, right? And it's called Mini Mama, right? Because it's Minnesota, super cute name, right? And so I found this group and it's an adventures group and they post different things in there of ideas, things to do with your kids all over the state of Minnesota. So here's actually my introduction post, right? So it's really simple. It just says, hi, everyone, excited to be part of this group. My name is Sarah Zalecki and this Egan family, right? Because that's the city I live in. with my 6-year-old and 9-year-old. We're all about adventures, and we do our best to make it all about the fun. Look forward to, new friendships, great ideas for adventures in Minnesota in this group. Anyone else from the South Metro, meaning south of the city, right? And so, people started posting and commenting, and I'll kind of go show you guys here. People would say, hey, we're here, or we live here, or hey, this is where we are. Or someone would say, hey, this is where we are. Hey, look at this even girl right away. Hey, message me. Let's do some play dates. Like, guys, this is like, I'm just in this group brand new. Like, they're all like, hey, let's get together. Let's do this. And so I made sure in here, I loved everyone's comment. I commented back in there so they felt like they were actual person and they were loved on, right? And so I just started making these connections with people, then even this girl, look what happened to this girl. This girl right away goes, hey, jump in this group too. Guys, like, she's already leading me to another network, right? She's like, hey, get in this network. I'm like, okay, I'm in. Like, this is awesome. Right. Then people are sending me different things. And so I think that's the thing, guys, is like just doing the post, doing the introduction, having fun inside of a group. Like, I have so many people to connect with now just in this really fun group. Right. And I'm passionate about it too, because I love adventure. I love my state. I love my kids. And it just these girls are my people, right? This is my tribe. So here's a couple of things that I like to do in the groups. I like to do some fun stuff. So one of the things that I asked in there is like, hey guys, what are some fun summer camps for a soon to be first grader and third grader? Well, guess what? Everybody and their mother gave me an opinion, right? Whether we like it or not, people are going to give you opinions all day long. So people in here start commenting, hey, what about, this place or this place or this place or this place? And I was able to be connected with them all, right? And so again, it just allows me to start building the relationship, giving value, having fun in there, making new friends. And then again, them jumping over to my profile, seeing what I'm all about, and, building that connection even further. Again, I give value in there. I talk about like my daughter, like her first day of track, right? It was freezing, but I'm like, hey, to rock it out. And then I in there wrote, hey guys, show me your kids if they're outdoors today. What are you guys doing? So people are posting pictures and images, and this is what I'm doing, and this is how it is, right? And so people are just loving that. So I want to encourage you guys, like, find 2 groups, okay, that you can be a part of today. And your first assignment in that group would be do an introduction post. Post an image, post a little blurb about you, start, having fun inside those groups and see what can happen with those leads. And then last but not least, guys, be normal, okay? Be normal. This business is all about friendships. It's all about friends first. If they feel like you're trying to recruit them, if they feel like you're trying to get them as a customer, like, they're going to run away from you. They can smell that a mile away. For me, all I do is this, guys. Every day I make a friend. Every single day. In every cell of my body, guess what I believe? Every person that I meet, either they're going to enrich my life or I'm going to enrich theirs. And that's how I live every day, whether it be online or offline. And that has served me so well over the years. So I want to encourage you guys, have fun with Facebook groups, jump in there, find a couple that you can get plugged in with and just start having fun, making the introductions, being you, giving value, and having a blast doing it. So with that, Sonia, I'll go ahead and I'll pass it back over to you.
Oh my goodness. Again, I wish we had a few hours to go through this in a lot of detail. I could see a few of you, if you're on mobile, couldn't see some of the slides as well as you'd like to. So let me talk to Sarah. Maybe we can get a couple of printouts and share that with you guys afterwards. But Sarah, amazing. I can see all kinds of light bulbs going off here in the chat. And I think, one of the main things I want to encourage you all to remember is that groups are incredible. They're especially effective if you have a good understanding of who your perfect prospect is. And Sarah has got this nailed. A perfect prospect is someone who definitely needs your product because there's certain problems or results they're after, and your product is like the perfect fit. They also are a good candidate for your business. And ultimately, there's someone that you have a lot in common with so that it's easy to get rapport. So obviously with Sarah being a mom of younger children, she's getting into these Facebook groups that are pretty much dedicated to moms with kids her age. And she's finding all kinds of ways to connect and especially give value. I can see many of you in here realizing that it's not enough to just show up. You can't just pop into the group and expect people to start talking to you. You have to engage them. You got to put up a photo. You got to get chatting. You got to give value and get people talking to you in Messenger, like she said. And if you do this effectively over time, if you ask the right questions, you're going to find lots of ways to introduce them to your products and your business. And obviously, Sarah, whatever you guys are doing is working for the number of customers that you have. That's pretty darn incredible. And that is just so inspiring. I agree. Facebook and Facebook groups is still one of the best tools you all have for free to find an endless supply of your perfect prospects. And with a little bit of strategy and a little bit of consistency, you absolutely can build an enormous pipeline of awesome prospects. So thank you for sharing that, Sarah. And let me just go back to my slides. And I know we're a little bit over time, what we expected, but don't go away, you guys. There's a couple things we have to share. We have a cool gift too I want to make sure you know about because there's a little bit of a limited quantity with this. And I just want to make sure you get your questions answered too. So let me bring up my slides again. If I can find my deck. There we go. Can you all see that okay? Just double checking on the slide thing. Perfect. Okay. So very quickly, we're not going to take a lot of time, but as I mentioned, one powerful idea implemented can change your business. It can completely change the trajectory of your business. I think we all get seduced by the more thing, and you don't need 1,000 strategies. You need a couple of simple strategies that you actually do something with. So with your permission, I'd like to encourage you right now in the chat, would you please write down the best gem